everyone. My name is Julianne Meyer. I am the host of Own Your Wellness and the only guest today. So you're stuck with me, but we do have different segments. So it will be fun. We are going to learn. It is the ultimate edutainment today. Before we get started, though, I do want to mention again that we have a special coming up this Sunday. It's called Achieve Wellness. It's put on by me. And I'm going to be having 5 other co-authors in our book, Achieve Wellness, on the show. And we're going to be talking about different ways, because we all have a different take and we all have different specialties. It all leads to the same thing of wellness. So we're all going to talk about, not me, the ladies that I'm interviewing are going to be talking about, their chapter and what they offer, and, just to help you live a healthier, happier life with more ease and grace. So it's pretty exciting. The book does come out in December. That's the good news. I'm really pumped about that. It's the first book that I've said yes to write in. So it just seemed perfect. And the beautiful part is my fiance's in it too. Yay. Who knows? Maybe he'll make a guest appearance on the show. But, I don't know if it's nepotism because he's not my child. Favoritism then maybe. But he's talented in his own right. He doesn't need my help to be seen. So anyway, well, what day is it? Thursday. So happy Thursday. It's almost the weekend and the holidays are coming up. So, I've been thinking a lot about the holidays as well. And so next week we're going to be on Monday. We have no guest. So I'm going to be talking about grieving, like through the holidays and things like that. So yeah, it's not the most happy, subject matter, but I know a lot of people, myself included, have dealt with not feeling so happy during the holidays. And, there's things that we could do about that. So we'll be talking about that on Monday. And then on Thursday, we have a guest as well. So that will be kind of exciting. So anyway, let's get to the topic at hand. It's called Grace versus Enabling. And this goes for yourself. This goes for other people in your life. It's just all around, but it kind of does start with ourselves. That being said, I'm not really sure why this is, but I feel like I need to start talking first about grace and enabling in our relationships with other people. And I'm just being led to do that. So I'm because it's my show, I can, right? Besides, you're going to get value. And that's really the ultimate thing that we want to get from here. So as you guys know, I used to work in addiction recovery, and I was a part of the addiction community for a very long time. And then, dealing with my own people with addiction in my life, like my mother and my brother, just as examples, my stepdad, a lot of friends, and even more family. But, and then of course with me having my own issues. So, I've seen it from all sides, and it's kind of like, it's one of these fascinating situations, because I want to talk about this in particular right away, because it's such a huge topic. And it's easy to see when it's big, but it's harder to see when it's the smaller things in our lives. But if we can figure out the difference in the big things, then it's easier to see it in the small. So that's part of the reason why I want to start off that way. So I happen to have a lot of clients who have children with addiction issues, or even clients that have had it in the past. I don't currently see anybody that is in active addiction. And that would be probably because I work in the health and wellness field. And when you are in one of those spirals, that's not really where your mindset is, right? So it's kind of obvious is what I'm getting at. But anyway, so what I want to say is I get asked these questions all the time. And I just figured maybe we could sort of chunk it down a little bit here. And it's kind of like, if you have a child that has an addiction issue and you want to help them, you're going to get a ton of advice from a million people, and they're going to swear that they're right. And that if you don't do exactly what they say, then you're evil and they don't want to have anything to do with you. I've seen it so many times. It's unbelievable. Now, first of all, you need to talk to the right people. You can't just talk to anybody about these things, because you are going to get very strong responses. And a lot of people, I know so many people that will give advice, and if their advice is not followed, then they will not stay in the relationship or the friendship. So These are things that it's really, really common. And if you've dealt with this, just know that you're not alone, because it happens more often than not. It's a, and I'll say I've been guilty of it too. I've got a few friends that are like getting out of horrible relationships that, are centered around addiction. And it's like you keep touching the stove, and I don't know how to hold your hand away from it, but you got to figure it out until you get burned enough that hopefully you won't put your hand on the stove anymore. But what I'm getting at, it's really hard to watch somebody walk through something and not do anything about it. Or if one of your friends is, dealing with a child, because that's who asks me the most, is parents who ask me the most about their kids, because I'm somebody's kid, and so I can help them from both sides. Here's the thing. Tough love is still love. And if you feel like your actions are coming from a place of love, then that should guide you. It doesn't have to look a certain way. So, some people swear up and down, don't give your kid money because they're just going to buy drugs with it. That could very well be true. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, and, you want them to have food, then buy them food. Don't give them money to buy food, give them food. I mean, there's different ways to help without giving up completely. Now, see, this is kind of how it goes with you, as you're with yourself too. All right. So just keep yourself in mind. Think about how you talk to yourself. It's not all or nothing. So here's the other thing. It's especially with addiction, it's so heart-wrenching for anybody who has to walk through it, and for anybody who has to be a part of it on the peripheral, because nobody in addiction really wants that for themselves. People think that it's fun and they're just out partying, but it's not like that when you're addicted. It is a matter of survival in their mind. It feels like, I need this in order to survive. It's not to have a blast and party. And even the ones that look like they're having fun, they're deeply wounded inside. So, looks can be deceiving. But my point, though, coming back to that, is that when you're asking the wrong people for advice, then they're going to tell you, you have to do this or your kid's going to die. Can't even tell you how many times I've heard, your kid's going to die if you do this. Your kid's going to die if you do that. Well, here's the thing. Everybody's going to pass away at some point. So you got to do what you're okay with living with. And that is the number one thing. Whatever you can be okay with is what you need to do. Now, let's bring it back to you as a person, because we're getting a little onto another topic. So what do you do when, you've made this commitment, say, to go to the gym daily for, say, 30 days? You made a commitment, you're going to go every day for 30 days. And then you feel like you have an injury. So now you're sitting there going, do I go to the gym or don't I go to the gym? So are you going to show yourself grace, or are you enabling that little lazy bone in your body, pun intended, so that you don't end up, fulfilling your commitment, and you can do that without feeling guilty? Well, here's the thing. Let's say you hurt your leg. You still have your core. You still have your arms. You still have, all these other things. Sorry, I just want to say hello to Helene, who's watching, just because she didn't see me say hello to her last time. So anyway, back to the topic. We got to get away from the whole black and white thinking, it has to be all or nothing. Like, I can't do what I said I was going to do, like go to the gym. Yeah, you could still go to the gym, but it's going to look a little different. So let's say you made, like I said, the commitment wasn't necessarily to go to the gym. It was to be working out, right? So let's say you did hurt yourself. What about when maybe taking it down a notch instead of just not going at all? That would be showing yourself grace instead of giving up on your goals. So these are things to think about. Like I said, it's not all or nothing thinking. You got to figure out a compromise. It's the same thing with anything. When you decide you're going to do something for yourself, there are times when you need to dial it back because something's come up in your life, or you are injured, or you're sick, or it's just, you're going to do yourself more damage than good by doing exactly what you had planned. So that is when you show yourself some grace. That is when you say, okay, my body's saying no today. I can't do this today. That's fine. Well, what can you do? how can you keep your commitment to yourself, but also show yourself a little bit of compassion and the magic word grace. So the thing is that there's such a fine line between showing yourself grace and enabling that sometimes it gets a little confusing. So I always try and dial it down. So like, I'm just going to use the gym example because I work out and this is part of what I do. And this tends to be the one where people give up really quickly on themselves. Now, let's say when I would, there were certain days where I just did not want to go to the gym. And I lived in Laguna Niguel and my gym was in Dana Point. So that's a 15 to 20 minute drive to get to the gym. Yes, I could have gone somewhere different, but that was my gym. And you know what I did instead? So I could tell the difference between enabling and that my body was really tired. I said, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out for 5 minutes. And if I want to leave after those 5 minutes, then I will go and I will not have any guilt about doing it. And you know what? There was a couple times I left after 5 minutes because my body was just like, no. And here's the thing that's funny. Now that I look back on it, my body totally could have done it. It was my brain that was stopping me, right? So we are more capable than we give ourselves credit for. So it's really, you've got to take a look at yourself and see what your motivation is behind it. So I saw this quote today. I'm going to pull it up on my phone. And I just thought it was perfect for today's show. And it says, yes, love yourself, but also analyze and be critical of how you think, act, and behave. Self-love without self-awareness is useless. Be accountable. So you need to be accountable to yourself is what I'm getting at. So these are things that, I'm very passionate about because I have been the kind of person who's like hit the snooze and not gone to the gym because I'm so tired. But I could have actually made it out of bed if I maybe put my alarm clock on the other side of the room. Now, that's what I call showing self some grace. Now, there's times when I would even put, now this is funny. These are just to get your mind going. These are ideas to get your mind going on things that you can do for yourself as well. So putting my alarm clock on the other side of the room wasn't enough to get me out of my sleep haze. I literally put it in the living room. So I had to get up, go across my apartment to turn off my alarm in the morning. Now, if I did that and I was still having some issues because I still wasn't 100% sure if I was really genuinely tired, I just didn't want to get up. And that really made the difference because there was a couple mornings where I needed to go back to bed, but 99.9% of the time I was up and I was able to go. So it's not, I would say that when you're enabling yourself is when you stop at your first try and you give up at the first thought or the first disappointed feeling or the first difficult feeling that you may have. That is enabling. All right. So, but grace is when you can modify your choices for yourself. And then there are days when, you know what, you just can't. You can't do whatever it is. And that's when you own it and you feel no guilt about it and you get right back on the wagon the next day. Because I don't care who you are or how happy your life is, or it does not matter. There are days in everyone's life where you get a case of the I don't cares and I don't want to do it. And I just want to be a cat and sit on the couch and sun myself and maybe eat some, I don't know, ice cream or something, whatever. My point is that if you're going to allow yourself a few of these days a year, consider it a mental health day and show yourself that luxuriousness. Make it an event so that you feel like you're really taking care of yourself. Don't just sit there and mindlessly watch, some sort of Netflix show that you don't care about because you're just trying to escape like your thoughts. That is not going to satisfy your soul. It's just not. But if you sit there and you spend that time, maybe it could even be watching TV. I don't know. Like, I'm not huge into it, but make it so that you feel like you spent your last day on earth with love and care for yourself. Because, I mean, honestly, who knows? Nobody knows when it's their turn to go. So if you live each day like, this is it, this is the one day that I have, then it's amazing how much your life turns around. And it doesn't turn into a question of grace versus enabling. It just becomes moment to moment living your life with love. All right. So that is kind of what I wanted to talk about when it had to do with that. And I do want to touch on the whole, if you have a person in your life who is an addict or an alcoholic, it's the same thing. It's just a different drug of choice. Uh, you really need to keep your side of the street clean. You cannot change somebody's behaviors by withholding or giving something to them. It's just not how it works. So like if you think about how many times I don't know, like if you've dealt with addiction, you understand so and so's friend died, and so now you think they're going to quit too because their best friend died. It never works like that. That's an excuse to pick up and use again. So I mean, it does every once in a while, but more often than not, it's just a reason to go out and lose themselves. So what I'm getting at is no matter what you do, it's still ultimately up to them to live their life. And you have got to always do what is best for you with the information that you have. Hindsight is 2020, but you make your best choices with what the information that you have at that particular moment, and realize that if they end up passing away or something happens, that you did your best, because ultimately you're the one that's left. You're the one that's here. And you don't want to sit there and think, oh man, I shouldn't have followed so-and-so's advice. I should have just done this. I knew it. I knew it. I knew it. I don't care if they never talk to you again. This is your life. This is what I'm saying. Like, you need to talk to the right people. That's why support groups are so important. Even a therapist or somebody like me, for example, that's been through it. And, I'm going to give you some real truths and let you choose, because the person who offers advice but does not let you make your own choices for you is no friend. Like, if they're going to judge you because you didn't pick what they suggested, that's not somebody you need to be associating with, because they're not in your skin. They are not in your body. They are not any of that. So you need to, realize that if you're going to pick somebody to talk to, then you still get to make your own choices. It does not mean that you have to choose what they recommend. You have to pick what is best for you. Always, 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 and forever. All right. So I have been yip yapping all this time. I think it's time to do a different segment. Who is ready for... All right. Who is ready for some tips and some tricks? All right. So here's the deal. There is this thing that people do that drives me a little crazy. And it's when they put their cans, I'm just using a tuna can. They put their cans and open cans in the refrigerator. That is a health code violation, okay? And the reason why is because the bacteria grows in here. So there are two things that you need to do. One is, like, even if you put like a tin foil, for example, over it, or a little plastic wrap, that is not acceptable. That doesn't keep it fresh. It does not work. Do not do that. It is a health code violation. Restaurants will be closed down for that kind of crap. If you work in addiction recovery at a house, they will ding you. So what do you do? What do you do when you have, like, this thing is 42 grams of protein in an entire can? I can't eat an entire can of protein, or an entire can of tuna in one go. First of all, there's too much mercury, but also it's just a lot. So half of it's going to be left. So what do I do with that other half? One, you can put it in another container, or you can get one of these little lids right here. It has 3 different sizes, and you pop it on the top like this, and you have an airtight seal. It is exactly the same exactly the same as it being closed. So if you want to put a can in the refrigerator, like I said, don't do it unless you have something like one of these guys right here. You can get these. I got these for my cat and my dog food. So that's a really cheap and inexpensive way to find them. But yeah, Amazon, you can even go to the grocery store. It's just one of those super inexpensive things that you can get for yourself that will help you with keeping your refrigerator nice and clean. Now here's another tip too. Don't put your tomatoes in the refrigerator. They actually make your other fruit and things, they let off so many gases that they actually make your fruit and your other vegetables and things mature faster. How's that for being politically correct instead of saying going rotten, right? All right. Well, that's it for tips and tricks. I think those are two really good ones. But seriously, people, get a little can lid because, it's just like nails on a chalkboard. Every time I see something like that, it makes me want to vomit. So I just think about all the bacteria and you're trying to do something good for yourself. Well, yeah, you're not if you're poisoning yourself, right? I mean, pretty simple. So anyway, it is time for us to go to a commercial break. And before we go, I'm going to say hello to everyone who is watching us live. And to remind all of you, our special is on Sunday at noon. And the name of it is Achieve Wellness. It's going to be me interviewing 5 other authors. All right, we'll be back in just a minute. Are you someone who is struggling to move forward because you suffered a loss? Maybe you're even finding it difficult to complete the most basic tasks. Are you looking for a way to start enjoying life again without feeling guilty or the resistance to do so? Spiritual life coach Sarah Stockham saw a need for people who haven't learned how to grieve without putting their entire lives on pause. And so she created a program that solves this issue called Choosing Life Right Now. This program is simple and you can do it on your own. If you are ready to learn how to feel your grief while still being able to smile, to honor the sacredness of what took place as a loss, and yet still continue to live with joy, and if you'd like to take care of your whole being with grace and love, then I'd like to invite you to experience her new program called Choosing Life Right Now. Sarah is currently offering her program for the promotional price of $77, but it won't stay at this price for long. To learn more, check out her website. The address is on the screen.
Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. real experiences, raw conversations, one destination for it all. E360 TV.
When drug or alcohol addiction take over, things begin to disappear. Your friends, your family, and eventually, you. Recommended by Dr. Phil, New Method Wellness can help get your life back with individualized treatment plans for dual diagnosis clients. New Method Wellness provides the most highly credentialed treatment in a safe and welcome environment. Call New Method Wellness for your free consultation and ask about our national accreditations. Together, we can put the pieces back together.
Welcome back, everyone. So during the commercial break, I was thinking about another tip and trick that I want to share with you guys, and a little trade secret. So there's a question that we get as personal trainers get asked a lot. And while personal training is only one part of what I do, and nutrition coaching is only one part of what I do, it still is always across the board that people assume that I eat absolutely perfectly and work out every single day for like an hour or two minimum, right? So here's the secret. I don't know any personal trainers or nutrition coaches or nutritionists or any of that do that. That is a totally misleading thought, and it is not true. And for example, like tonight, I am Drew and I, my fiance, we are meeting with my girl crew, and it's their first time meeting him because Drew and I met right at COVID. So right 1 month before lockdown is when we met. And so they haven't had a chance to meet him yet. So tonight is the big reveal. And we're going to my favorite sushi restaurant, for example. And because my wedding is coming up soon, I don't want to overeat and overindulge. So what did I do? I made sure that I'm hydrated all day, so I'm not mistaking hunger for thirst. And also I had a snack a little while ago so that I wouldn't be starving when I went to go to the restaurant, because it's a lot easier to make healthy choices when you're not starving to death. That's why they say don't go to the grocery store when you're hungry. So not only do I get to spend this time with my favorite people, I still get to go out. So my point is that it's not all or nothing. It's the same thing that I was talking about in the beginning about grace versus enabling, and how you doesn't have to be all or nothing thinking. So anyway, I definitely let that one loose, didn't I? All right. So, piggybacking off of our conversation, I think it was last week. It could have been this Monday. Honestly, I don't remember because my sense of time is so messed up. But I have a different sort of recipe for you guys. So guess what's coming up next? All right. So during, like I said, one of the previous episodes, I talked about energy boosters and using bee pollen with coconut oil. And I just wanted to mention, because I didn't last time and I thought it would be totally wrong if I didn't. I got the idea from this young lady right here from this book, the Beauty Detox Foods book. And the recipe I'm going to share with you right now is also from her. So I did not come up with these by myself. I don't want to take credit for something that isn't mine, but they work. They've been tested by me and by many others. So what we're going to talk about today is spirulina shots. Does that sound gross or what? What is that? Spirulina powder. It is not exactly the most delicious tasting thing, I'm going to tell you right now. But like I said, it's going to be a shot. So think of it as like your least favorite shot in the universe. Let's say maybe whiskey or something like that, or tequila in my case. All right, so the recipe is going to make you six 2-ounce shooters. All right, now these shooters can be made, like I said, it's going to be made with the spirulina powder. You don't have to use this kind. This is just what I happen to have. I got this from like Whole Foods or something like that. You can, obviously you want to source it and get the least expensive for the best quality that you can find. So what you're going to want is a tablespoon of that. You can add more if you want, but I recommend a tablespoon. And then you're going to put some coconut water, also what is this, from Whole Foods? Doesn't matter. I just picked this one. Not my favorite, but it works. And it's organic. So anyway, you take the coconut juice. You want a cup and a half of coconut juice, a tablespoon of spirulina, and then what you want is 3/4 of a teaspoon of dry stevia or 20 drops of liquid stevia. Now, this is Truvia, which is not the best brand, but it's what I have. So I make it work because that's what I have. So you put all those things into a blender, you blend them up. And like I said, there you can keep it covered in the fridge for a few days. And that makes you 6 2-ounce shots. It's better than coffee and it's better for you because it's a superfood. So, but the only thing is, remember to mix it thoroughly before you drink it after you've had it in the refrigerator. I mean, obviously right after you've mixed it in the blender, it's fine. But also, I'm going to tell you guys a really interesting fact about coconut water. Did you know that it can be used in a pinch if there's a shortage of plasma? I mean, how cool is that? People can use it in place of plasma. I guess I don't need to donate plasma anymore. Just kidding. But I do have to say it doesn't work for people if they do have kidney problems. But in a pinch, that is used for plasma in medical situations. So think about how good coconut water is if they can use it intravenously in medical situations for most people. I think that's kind of cool, right? Woo! All right. You know what time it is? It is time right now to ask me some questions. All right, we're back, and I am thirsty. Have a taste of my water. Got to grab the trusty bowl that my grandpa made, full of questions from you guys, from clients, from people that I've just heard on the street. Yes. Okay. Whew. Okay. What do you think most people lack in their diets? Okay. That's a really good question. Most people tend to think that they need more protein, less carbs, that, you know, that's really what it is, that's the number one thing, but it's actually not. What most people are missing is fiber. Now, think about all the stuff that is stuck in your colon and in your intestines, and the fiber helps pull it out. So, yeah, you know, think about how much crap is literally in there. So fiber is the number one thing that I think is missing from people's diets. They just are lacking in it. And here's the thing, if you start increasing your fiber, don't do it too fast. Otherwise, you're going to get the toots. And that is very unpleasant and bloating. And oh my gosh, it's just super unpleasant. I'm not saying it will definitely happen, but there's a good possibility. Think about if you up your vegetables like super fast. I don't know if anybody's ever done that before. Oh, it is a mess. So just be careful about upping your fiber, but it is something that most people are missing from their diet. And that's what I'm talking about for food. But the number one thing that people are missing from their diet is water. If you can only do one thing for yourself, drink more water, myself included. So, you know, I am preaching this, but I don't necessarily follow through the way that I need to. And I'm admitting it so that hopefully I'll change my behavior, because I can't preach it if I don't do it myself, right? I know there's just all these excuses, and here's the thing with increasing water is you do have to go to the bathroom more often, but it does subside. And then the funny thing is the more water you drink, the more often you feel thirsty. It's kind of fascinating. So if you've ever tried that before, just know that going to the bathroom thing does regulate after a little while, whether it's fiber or water. Both are true for that. All right, I got another question. All right. Ooh, I hate going to the gym, but I need to work out. What should I do? All right. Well, there's a few different things that you can do. One is, who said the only way to work out was going to the gym? I most certainly did not say that. In fact, half of my clients, we don't work out in a gym. We're outside. I mean, I live in Southern California, so it is not, it's not a problem to work out outside. But who said you have to go to the gym? Why don't you pick something that you like? So for example, if you're into tennis, play tennis. If you're into, let's say you're into golf, instead of taking the cart, carry your golf clubs. I mean, there's ways to integrate movement and exercise into your life. Now, as far as lifting weights and all of that, now muscular strength is important. I'm making a disclaimer here, but I want to make a point also, is if you go to Europe, you don't see gyms everywhere like you do in the United States. So, and it's not that people there are super unhealthy. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is it's not necessarily the gym that's keeping people healthy. It's their commitment to themselves. So if you don't like going to the gym, you can work out at home. Think about what people did during COVID. And, the gym that I worked at closed. So, and then you couldn't get weights anywhere because everybody snatched them up because of, everything you couldn't find anything anywhere, right? So there's always ways around it. Plus there's body weight. You can always do body weight exercises. There are things like planks and push-ups and sit-ups, and you can get 100% of a fabulous workout without ever hitting the gym. I know a lot of people who are buff from doing, and they do yoga, or people who are, really buff, that I'm not talking steroid buff, but I'm talking about really muscular, that just do karate and martial arts in particular. So you don't have to hit the gym in order to hit your fitness goals. Don't let that stop you. Another thing you can do is there's so many videos on YouTube. And remember Jane Fonda? For all you older folks out there like me, remember Jane Fonda tapes? Oh my gosh. I mean, look at her. She still looks fabulous. It's not like she was, working out with all those hefty weights. So don't let not going to your hate of the gym stop you from working out. Figure out a way to make yourself move. But don't forget strengthening your muscles. That's so important for bone density too, especially if you're a woman. All right, let's see. What do we have here? All right, I picked it out. I should probably read it. Okay. We all know processed foods are bad for us, but why is that? And is it true? I actually know who wrote this question. All right. I think it's a great question because, and I just want to point out that to most of us, it's like, duh, that's so obvious that of course processed foods are bad for us, but you ever wonder why? And I'm going to say it in the most easy way that is not going to be clinical at all, but I do want to make a quick point too about anything that has a health claim or whatnot. It's like, the earth isn't flat, it's round. So something can seem a certain way until it isn't. So I think that this is actually a really good question. Somebody who's questioning whether or not there's some reasoning behind this. Now, okay, let's talk about processed food. And yes, it is not good for you. One is because it is not real food. It's a food-like substance. Okay, so that's the main problem. It's not, that it's pre-made or whatever. It is that it is a food-like substance. It has things that are not natural in it. And all these health claims too, like all natural. Well, arsenic is natural too. That doesn't mean that you should be eating that anytime soon. So, I understand this question, but the way I want to explain it, long-windedly apparently, is is when something is put into your body that it doesn't know what to do with, it will just sit there and it will sort of just hang out in your cells, and it will cause disease because it doesn't know what to do with the products that you put into your body. So think about this. Think about McDonald's, for example. And I am going to use this example. I'm sorry, McDonald's, but they always get the brunt of it. Have you ever seen those videos of like the hamburger that lasts for like 6 months or even years or whatever? I mean, 6 months is disturbing to me, but I think it actually lasts years without even getting moldy. That's obviously not natural. Okay. So think about what it's doing. It's like embalming your body. That's what it's like. This like food is like embalming the inside of your body. It's going to stick there and stay there. That is not good. So that is why processed foods are not good for you, because they're not actually really food. They're chemicals. And the chemicals, we get in trouble for asbestos, for example. That causes disease if we inhale asbestos. It's kind of the same idea. It's along the same lines. If something that doesn't belong in your body goes in there, it can wreak havoc on your system. So when you choose to eat things that are processed, you are choosing, and I'm going to be honest, I eat processed food from time to time. It's not like I'm a perfect eater. Hello, I live in the United States and I'm in my 40s. So of course I'm going to eat processed food. But my point is that it's not the main staple. It's not the thing that I eat all the time. Most of what I eat is not processed. So you got to be really careful about that, because if you're ingesting things that your body can't figure out what to do with, it's going to hold on to it and it's going to infect the rest of your body. So keep that in mind. All right. Okay. All right. I already whipped one out because I was all excited. All right. Should I stretch before or after my workout? Oh, all right. All right. Here's the thing. I love this question. And this is a huge debate amongst personal trainers, especially. And it's like, there's different types of stretching, and should I stretch or shouldn't I stretch? And if you ask certain doctors, they say that stretching is a form of exercise, etc. So here's the deal. There is no consistent answer about whether you should stretch before or after your workout. But the one consensus, the one thing that is absolutely across the board that I can say without a shadow of doubt is you should never, ever stretch cold muscles. You need to warm your muscles up. Do not stretch them while your muscles are cold. You need to warm them up. What does that mean? Do a couple jumping jacks, get some movement going before you actually go into deep stretching. So, and then the other thing too is, like, if something really, really, really hurts, maybe you should leave it alone a little bit, or, sort of back off a little, because that means it's a little too much. But to answer your question is, you should warm up your muscles before you work out, and you should warm them down when you're done. So if you're going to stretch it all, stretch after, but make sure you warm up your muscles before. Now there's something, it's called like dynamic stretching, and it's kind of like swinging your legs out and things like that, and doing all this other, just warming up your muscles is what I'm getting at. So make sure that you don't stretch them cold, but you can definitely stretch them after you've worked out. All right. And warm them up before you get going hardcore. All right. Let's see what else we got in the I really want to peek. In the, whatchamacallit, bowl. All right. Oh, I love this. Okay. So can changing my diet really help me with my mood? And the person says that their therapist says that is possible. And yes, it is. It is 100% possible, because it's kind of like one of those things where if you're putting the wrong fuel in, you're not going to get the ultimate service out of whatever that you're putting the fuel in. So let's say, if you want to change your moods, think about how when you get really hungry and your sugar levels plummet, your glucose goes bananas, you are not okay, right? If you become angry, agitated, all of these things. So yes, changing your diet can help with your mood. It can help alleviate some depression symptoms. I'm not saying don't see your doctor. I'm not saying don't see your therapist. And I'm not saying stop your medication. I'm saying add in different foods so that you can help yourself even out your mood. It makes a huge difference. So there is one thing though that you do need to do is before you start, and if you're not working with me, you need to make sure that you talk to your doctor or a dietitian about medication and food interactions, because there are some that interact, like for example, cranberry juice. And obviously alcohol, we all know alcohol, but there are certain foods that are in drinks and things like that you really should not be drinking or eating because you might have an adverse reaction depending on your medications. So do make sure that you look into that. Okay. There's one in here that I peeked at earlier. I'm really hoping I get it today. All right. Oh, okay. I'm older and I'm on a fixed income. What can I do to work out without hurting myself? All right. So I love that question, because a lot of my clients are a little bit older than I am. But they can afford me, so they're not on a fixed income. But here's the thing: nobody should be without movement. Nobody should be without exercise, and you don't want to hurt yourself, right? So what can you do? All right. So the number one thing people who are a little bit more advanced in age really should concentrate on is balance. That is the number one thing. And it's actually a sign of longevity. So work on your balance. That's going to be number one. And then I highly recommend doing the body weight exercises so you're not overdoing it. And then there's always, like I said, there's YouTube, there's videos on TV. There's, if you might have a VHS player or VCR, you can play an old Jane Fonda tape, something like that. But as far as people who are older, your number one priority should be working on your balance, because, you know, you don't want to be walking around with the life alert if you don't have to, right? I mean, if you get down on the ground, you want to be able to get up. That is like a number one easy request. I get that all the time from my clients is I want to be able to get up and down off the floor when I play with my grandkids. It's good practice. Practice getting up off the floor. Practice getting up from your back off the floor. These are all things that, especially if you live alone, you want to be as safe as possible. So these are things that you can do to work out. A lot of my older clients, I don't like that word, more mature clients, they like to walk. And I think that is fabulous. Just getting out, you get to see whatever, you know, the nature or the city line, depending on where you live. Definitely walking is a really good way to exercise. It's a good way to work out. So, but the thing is as you get older, you do need to worry about your muscle mass. So make sure you do have some sort of strength training. And as I mentioned, you could do body work, but also get yourself some bands. You can do a lot of stuff with band works. And, you know, you can even do, curls with bands, and you can do like shoulder stuff. There's all kinds of things. And the directions come with the bands. Get the long ones, not the little shorty guys. I mean, you can get those too. Those are great for doing things like fire hydrants, you know, like when a dog lifts its leg like that, you do that with your leg. It's a fire hydrant is what it's called for obvious reasons, right? Okay, so let's do another question. Let's see what we got here. Okay, which is better, eating 3 times a day and either with or without snacks, or 4 to 6 small meals? Once again, as with everything, there is, it seems like anyway, there's no one size fits all. So you got to really figure out what works best for you. Now, if you do have, you know, some liver issues or some kidney issues, or even just health issues in general, it might be better for you to eat 4 to 6 small meals a day. You would have to talk to your doctor or your nutritionist, dietitian, all those people, your health and wellness team. Everyone should have a team of wellness. But if you don't, for whatever reason, and some people don't, and I understand that too, is pay attention to how your body is feeling and how hungry you are. Like for me, I don't like eating 4 to 6 small meals a day. It feels, I'm never really hungry, and I just feel like I'm wolfing food down for no reason. It's not fun for me, but I like to have 3 meals and maybe a snack. So, but I am very careful about how many calories I ingest also. So what I'm getting at is figure out what works best for you. Like some people are really great at intermittent fasting and some people are not. So, you know, talk with your health professional if you are not sure. Otherwise, experiment with yourself and see what works. If you find yourself waking up in the middle of the night because you're starving to death, then switch up the way that you're eating. Otherwise, you should never be hungry during the day. You shouldn't be hungry at all, even if you are on a diet. You should not be physically hungry. You're eating too few calories if you're physically hungry. Now, there is a difference between being physically hungry and emotionally hungry, right? So, yeah, think about that one. Keep that one in mind. There is a difference. All right, we have time for one more question. What is it? What is it? Okay. Oh, I love this question. I just found out something about this today, even so, even better. Are eggs good or bad for us? Well, we all know, we've heard that eggs are good for us. We've heard that eggs are bad for us. We've heard blah, 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 good cholesterol, bad cholesterol, all the things about eggs. But did you know, and here is such a fascinating thing, is that eggs have every vitamin and mineral our body needs except for one. There's only one vitamin that's missing from an egg, and that's vitamin C. But every single other vitamin and mineral our body needs is included in a healthy egg. So how's that for if eggs are good or bad for us? I think that in it of itself is kind of like a no-brainer. Now, having said that, because I know everybody's going to go out there and buy themselves like 24 packs of eggs at Costco and like start eating them up the wazoo. First of all, the vitamins and minerals are small, so there isn't a ton of them. And if you have an allergy or something like that, then obviously you should not be eating them. And just because something is inherently good does not mean that it is good for you. So keep that in mind. But the other thing I want to say too is too much of anything is never good for anyone. Okay. So don't overdo it. You still need to have a variety of foods in your life. But the most important thing is to choose things that are healthy that you're going to eat. Stop buying kale every week and letting it rot in your fridge if you hate it and you swear you're going to eat it because it's good for you. You just let it sit there and rot. It's a waste of money. It's bad for the environment, actually. And just so you guys know, if you want to do something good for the environment on top of living healthy, because you have to live in a healthy environment, right? Is that food waste is one of the ways it's that we create the gases in the system that causes my brain is all of a sudden fried. What I'm trying to say is, when cows go to fart too much and things like that, and it just ruins the ozone layer. That's what wasted food does as well. So one of the ways that you can help with the environment is to not waste your food because it just goes to the landfill. So long-winded, and for some reason my brain just like glitched, but I think you get what I was trying to say. Anyway, it is almost time for us to go. I feel like no, we don't have enough time for one more question. I was kind of hoping, but guess not. Anyway, I just want to mention one more time because this is exciting. We have my very first special. I have never done one in the 2 years I've had this show. And I just figured that this was such a momentous occasion that we needed to celebrate that and celebrate all these wonderful men and women. There's only going to be women on the show, but that helped create this book, Achieve Wellness. So join us this Sunday on E360 TV, Apple TV, Roku, wherever you're watching, and you will see me with my 5 women. We'll be talking about them and how they bring wellness to the table and help you get there with grace and ease and live your best life ever. So that is all the time that we have for today. I just want to say thank you for being here with us. And thank you for those of you who are watching live. We'll see you on Sunday instead of Monday. Well, Sunday and Monday. How about that? Until then, bye.